Very nice statement that Prabhupada makes in Krishna book, chapter 2. One cannot attain the supreme platform of self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balaram. Bala does not mean physical strength. One must have the spiritual strength which is infused by Balaram or Sankarshana. He doesn't write this in Krishna book, but I know it's a fact. There are some teachers, kind of yogis, that say it's physical strength. So they do lots of calisthenics and those kinds of things to build bala, because you have to get Balaram. No, Prabhupada didn't like that idea. Spiritual strength, infused by Balaram or Sankarshan. Very interesting description found by Jiva Goswami in Krishna Sandarbha. I don't think this audience I need to give up any background on what's this book and what's that book, Krishna Sandarbha. Of the 6 Sandarbhas, the 6th is the Krishna Sandarbha, where he writes about Balaram. Sankarshana, or the Purusha incarnation, entered the womb of Rohini. Rohini is one of the wives of Vasudeva. Then Balaram, the original form of Sankarshan, or the Mula Sankarshan, entered the womb of Devaki, the 7th child of Devaki. So Rohini is already sent by Vasudeva to protect Rohini and the child in the womb of Rohini. He sent her to Nanda to take care of her and the child that was born before Krishna was born. So that's before the 7th child of Devaki. So the original Mula Sankarshan, what appeared in the womb of Devaki. Then, within Rohini's womb, Purusha Sankarshan and Balaram joined to become a single Balaram. Thus, Balaram Sankarshan appeared. It's a detail, but it's a nice detail. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is this explanation of Mula Sankarshan. And it's in the section, the Balarama-tattva section, chapter 5 of Adi Lila. Sankarshana, 1. Sheshanag, 2. And the Vishnu tattvas who lie in the Karna ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk, that's 3 plus 2 is 5, are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. So the Mula Sankarshan is the mula or the root of the 5 additional expansions from whom they come. Laghu Bhagavatamrita has a lot to say about Balaram, because Laghu Bhagavatamrita is the text itself is just from beginning to end. It's a description of avatars. So in the first section, chapter 4, Balaram is identified as one of the 21 Vaibhav avatars, similarly mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. If one form, this is a definition, what does Vaibhav avatar mean anyways? If one form or feature is differently manifested according to different emotional features, it is called Vaibhav Prakash. And then that Vaibhav Prakash may become a Vaibhav avatar. So Balaram is one of those. Similarly, the very next set of verses from Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Balaram, whose Angsa avatar, or Anantashesh, remember the five that came from the Mula Sankarshan, resides in Patalaloka, who always carries a palm tree flag. When Balaram goes into battle, he's got a flag, and the flag has a palm tree on his flag. Who is eloquent, who is decorated with a forest garland, who carries a plow, club, and sword. He has 3 weapons. Who is decorated with blue garments, and who always wears on his head a jewel picture of Anantashesh, resides in the spiritual realm. Nago Bhagavad Tamrita. And in the next chapter 5, there's this nice explanation where Rupa Goswami refutes a common misunderstanding that Krishna and Balaram are incarnations of a black and white hair of Vishnu. Based upon a misunderstanding of Srimad Bhagavatam 2:7-26. So I just happened to bring Lagu Bhagavatamrita with me. And so I'll read to you the common translation of that verse. No, it's not here. Doesn't Balaram say in the second canto, doesn't Lord Brahma say in the second canto that he descended into the Yadu family generated from the white and black hairs? Now here's commentary. Even after being soundly defeated, one shameless Purvapakshi cannot admit that Krishna's unrivaled supremacy. He resorts to juggling words. If Krishna were not an angsa of the Lord of the Milk Ocean, then why does Brahma say that to Narada about Krishna's appearance? Krishna is the black hair of Vishnu, and Balaram is the white hair of Vishnu. That's their rendering of this verse from Canto 2, Chapter 7. This is the translation of that verse. When the world is overburdened by the fighting strength of kings who have no faith in God, the Lord, just to diminish the distress of the world, descends in his plenary portion, appearing from a white and black hair. And just to expand his transcendental glories, he acts extraordinarily. No one can properly estimate how great he is. So now, commentary. This is to assist us to get a correct picture of what that verse should be translated as. The Suras are the demigods and others who obey the laws of God. The Suretaras are the demons and atheists who become prominent from time to time. At the end of Dwarpa Yuga, 5,000 years ago, the earth was overburdened by Suretara kings, whose armies disturbed the peaceful life of the Suras. This second canto verse summarizes an event more elaborately described in Mahabharata, Adiparva. Gives the Sanskrit. These verses our objectors interpret as Lord Hari, or Kshiradakshai Vishnu, then pulled 2 hairs from his head, one white and the other black. These hairs, this is Mahabharata. These hairs descended to the dynasty of Yadus and is entering the 2 good women, Rohini and Devaki, of the 2 hairs of the Supreme Lord. The white one became Balabhadra, and the other said to be black, became Krishna Keshava. Thus, our objector concludes that Krishna must be the Angsa of Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Text 157. Rupa Goswami writes, "Now, my dear sir, no, not like this. Please hear my explanation. Using his special artistic skill, the Lord ties his very black hair." The Sanskrit can be read that way. Not the Mahavishnu, Lord Hari pulled two hairs from his head. This is the proper analysis of the compound word Sita, Krishna Keshaha. It is a description of the Lord's exceptional ingenuity. So now, commentary. And part of the commentary is what's on the screen. Kala can mean not only plenary expansion. We know these terms, Angsa and Kala. You're a learned group of devotees, so you know those terms. Krishna expands as Angsas and portions of a plenary portion. Angsas and Kala. So Vishnu is a Kala. So Kala can mean the plenary portion. But it also can mean art. So Krishna is artistic. And Sita can mean not only white, but also tied. The speaker of this verse fittingly alludes to Krishna's all-attractive charm by describing how he wears his beautiful black hair. He goes on. The Hari mentioned in this verse from Mahabharata is Kshirodakshai Vishnu, who according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, appears as a Kala, an expansion of the Swayam Rupa Lord. Swayam Rupa means Krishna, original Krishna. His Kala. The Swayam Rupa, whose Kala is Karanadakshai Vishnu, appears on earth as Krishna and exhibits his incomparable pastimes. So it's like Canto 1, Chapter 3, the avatars, that's one of the 6 questions. And Krishna's list is one of the avatars. Krishna is listed as one of the avatars. And then it turns around and says Krishna is the source of everything, including all the avatars. Krishna's tus Bhagavan Swayam. But how do you explain the statement that Lord Vishnu pulled out 2 hairs, which entered women in the Yadu dynasty? The Purva Pakshi would say, there is a very simple explanation. In this context, the word Kesha can be understood in its less common sense as, quote, ray of light, primary and secondary meanings. So if the primary meaning isn't appropriate, then the secondary meaning can be taken instead of the primary meaning. The Mahabharata also supports this idea in the Narayaniya section, where Krishna tells Arjuna, quote, the rays of effulgence that emanate from me are called Keshas. And for this reason, I am Keshava. By the all-knowing best of sages, Mahabharata gives the reference, Shanti Parva. The Purva Pakshi is thus finally revealed as a mistaken interpreter when we understand that Lord Brahma says in the 2nd canto, 2 rays of Karanadakshai Vishnu, one white and one black, entered into Balaram and Krishna while they were present in their mother's wombs, which is consistent with what was explained earlier in Laghu Bhagavatamrita of the stages of how Sankarshan appeared, and then the Mula Sankarshan appeared, and the Sankarshan merged with the Mula Sankarshan, or Balaram. This is the Supreme Court. building a case. The Mahabharata consistently uses the word Kesha in the sense of Ray. Two examples are its description of Krishna Balaram's descent and in its account of Narada Muni seeing multicolored rays of light entering the two lords. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.2.15 states unequivocally, using the phrase Mahad Angsa Yuktaha, that Krishna's Purusha Angsas entered him when he comes down to this world. Okay, so you see what's on the screen. I'll read what's on the screen. This is what Rupa Goswami wants us to understand as the translation of 2.7.56. This is Brahma speaking to Narada, instructing him about the appearances of these two lords. When the world is overburdened by the fighting strength of kings who have no faith in God, the Lord, just to diminish the distress of the world, descends in his original form with beautiful black hair neatly tied on his head. The Lord is the most expert of all artists, and just to expand his transcendental glories, he performs many graceful and extraordinary pastimes. No one can properly estimate how great he is. Now, many of us in this room have never had to deal with this thing. But from time to time, I have the privilege of dealing with such things. I mean, it depends on the audience, but sometimes the audience grew up hearing this, and they say, why do you say that when I grew up hearing this? You know what I mean? Maybe you don't know what I mean. But it happens. In case it happens, at least you have the scriptural reference and our authoritative source of Rupa Goswami. On the car ride to the airport, there was a young Indian graduate student in the car that had, the whole ride to the airport had questions. And, some of those questions were questions like this. I grew up hearing from mom and dad that Vishnu and Krishna are the same. And in ISKCON, I hear Krishna is the source of everything. So I heard that. Now, how do I deal with this? It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate matak parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananja. There's no truth superior to me. And truth doesn't just mean, as opposed to a lie, it refers to the source of everything, that kind of truth. That kind of truth. There's no truth superior to Krishna. He's the source of everything. Sarvasya. So there are answers to these. When I grew up, I heard Krishna is, and Balarama, the two hairs from Mahavishnu. But now you guys in Hare Krishna movement say something else. So how do I sort that out? In case you run across it, now you know where to go. Lago Bhagavatamrita, first part, chapter 5. And there's a nice translation. It's not two hairs of Mahavishnu, but Krishna's hair neatly tied on his head, etc. Another name of Balaram is Rohini Nandana, because he's the Nandana of Rohini. So let's hear a little bit about mother of, it's like we hear about Yashoda, the mother of Krishna. So let's hear about Rohini. Rohini married Vasudeva. And Vasudeva had a lot of wives. He had 17 wives, additional wives, total 18 wives. He's a busy guy. After 3 months of pregnancy, This is important. How much older is Balaram than Krishna? Well, 3 months after her pregnancy, Rohini was sent by Vasudeva to Gokul because Kamsa's atrocities. The 7th child of Devaki was Balaram, we heard already. This was the Sankarshana Kala, who was transferred to Rohini's womb before his birth. Lord Baladev remained in the womb of Rohini, check this out, for 14 months. Poor Rohini. It's not the same as Sukadev Goswami's mother. But why? He was waiting for Krishna's appearance. So shortly before Krishna appeared, Balaram appeared. He was waiting 14 months. No, so the authority for that is Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Prabhupada writes in his BBT purport for 11128, this is just statements, there's most of the statements concur to 18 wives. Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna, had completely separate residential quarters where he lived with his 18 wives. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur writes in the commentary to the very next verse, Vasudeva actually had 18 wives. And chapter 84, this is when the residents of Vrindavan and the resident of Dwarka meet together at Kurukshetra at the time of the solar eclipse. That's what chapter 84 of Canto 10 is. After Vasudeva's eyes, there's some yagyas being performed. Vasudeva's eyes had been decorated with black cosmetic and his body smeared with fresh butter. The priest initiated him according to scriptural rules by sprinkling him and his 18 wives with sacred water. And then some further detail from the 9th canto. 7 of these wives, including Devaki, were sisters. They were daughters of Devaka. So one of them was Devaki. And Devaka was one of the 2 sons of Ahuka. Ugrasena was Devaka's brother. So, there's this family connection with all these personalities. Devaka's brother was Ugrasena, whose son was Kamsa. The remainder of Vasudeva's 11 wives came from other parents than Devaka. No, here it says Vasudeva had 11 plus 1, 12. Notice there's a discrepancy. Don't ask me to sort it out. I'm just pointing it out. And 9th canto, chapter 24, Devaki, Pauravi, Rohini, Bhadra, Mandira, Rochana, Ila, and others were among all the wives of Anakadundobi, Vasudeva. Among them all, Devaki was the chief. So, preponderance of indication is 18 wives. Here's an interesting detail. Canto 3, chapter 1. Lord Krishna's father, Vasudeva, had 16 wives. Wait a minute. And one of them, named Pauravi or Rohini, the mother of Baladev, was the sister of Vidura. Really? Let's do that again. This is right, purport, Srila Prabhupada's purport. Rohini was the sister of Vidura. Now, I can't figure that out. So you're doing the same thing. Your mouth is doing the same thing. But I did some homework before coming to Alachua. And the purpose is not to blow your mind. It's just, there are different things that are said in different places. This is a purport. Because, who is Vidura the son of? He has two brothers. But we didn't know that he had a sister. According to this purport, Prabhupada's writing, Rohini is a sister. Vasudeva, therefore, was the husband of Vidura's sister. And thus they were brothers-in-law. Now this is Canto 3, Chapter 1. It's part of it is a description of Vidura's departing and all of that stuff. Vasudeva's sister Kunti was the wife of Pandu. Now that's one of Vidura's brothers. Vidura's elder brother, yes. And in that sense also, Vasudeva was the brother-in-law to Vidura. So that one's fine. The first one, I'm puzzled, so don't ask me to sort it out. Kunti was younger than Vasudeva, and it was the duty of the elder brother to treat younger sisters as daughters. Whenever anything was needed by Kunti, it was munificently delivered by Vasudeva due to his great love for his younger sister. So he treated her like a daughter. Vasudeva never dissatisfied his wives, and at the same time, he supplied the objects desired by his sister. He had special attention for Kunti because she became a widow at an early age, so that we know. Now, here's from, and again, Rupa Goswami, he has a lot to say about Balaram. This is from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is his form. He likes Balaram. I take shelter of Baladev, enemy of Pralamba. On the edge of his cheek dangles one earring. Notice the one earring. This is left ear, his left cheek. The lotuses decorating his ears are covered with bees. His tilak is made of musk. On his broad chest shines a gunja berry necklace. His complexion is as white as an autumn cloud. His cloth is blue, his voice is deep, and his arms hang down to his sides, to his knees. Again, Rupa Goswami, Lagu Bhagavatamrita, he compares the complexion of Balaram to white as camphor. He always dressed in garments dark as a rain cloud. So that's just a lot of discussion on who is Balaram, and so far it's not so much Leela, it's just who is Balarama-tattva. And he waited 14 months so he could appear just before Krishna appeared, and from their early childhood they showed very special affection for one another. Naturally so. The Lord's first expansion, although he's the elder brother, or the elder between the two, actually the elder brother, but the elder between the two because they were raised by Nanda and Yashoda. We'll hear something shortly about what Mother Yashoda has to say. She had affection for Balaram. She feels even greater than Rohini. That's Yashoda. So great affection between the two lords. And in their childhood, many, many, many wonderful childhood pastimes. Here's one celebrated childhood pastime. We all know the pastime. Krishna and Balaram, they would grab the tails of the calves and go for a ride. When they grabbed the tails of the calves would jump and run. And Krishna would laugh and go for a ride. And the elders would be panicking, oh no, look out. And Krishna would laugh and Balaram would do the same, and they'd go this way, that way, and then they'd pick them up, give them a bath because they were all dusty, and all those things that mothers do when they have little children. His pastime of stealing butter wasn't just Krishna was Makanchor. Balaram was his accomplice in the crime again and again. And the painting is meant to show even they were hiding in the storerooms because of their effulgence. They were a dead giveaway. You could see what they were up to. Now going back to Jiva Goswami, this is that statement by Yashoda. Yashoda touched Balaram's back with her left hand and touched her chin with his chin with her right hand. With tears in her eyes, she spoke to Balaram. "Oh, child wearing blue cloth, your mother has not shown such affection for you from your childhood as I have. She remains as if neutral. How can I reduce my unsettled nature? Therefore, I am giving you an instruction. Immediately go on the path with Krishna." Her affection for Balaram was, in one sense, equal to her affection for Krishna. Some further details. Now, for your information, I'm on slide 15, and there's 52 slides. So I hope you have good memories, or can assimilate things, at least in essence. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, back to Rupa Goswami. In the Western section, he's going to speak about the types of friendship, or Sakya Rasa. He gives it a special name, Preyo Bhakti Rasa. And he categorizes Balaram as being the elder of the two. So because he's the elder of the two, although they're equals, he is sometimes said to be in this category of Priyo Bhakti Rasa and the Suhrit category. Sometimes our acharyas describe that he has mixed parental affection, Vatsalya Rasa. Now, there's mixtures of rasas, and that's a compatible mixture of rasas. It's not like I'm his father, but he has protective sense. Not just in their childhood pastimes, in their adult pastimes. Here's a nice example, the adult pastimes. It's a really nice example. Balaram, it's the marriage of their sister. Balaram and Krishna had a sister. Her name was Subhadra. And when it came to the marriage of Subhadra, no way. Balaram wanted Subhadra to marry Duryodhana. No way. She didn't say no, but she didn't say yes. And then a whole series of events. Arjuna was on a pilgrimage. You know the reason for Arjuna's pilgrimage? You know the reason? Arjuna was going to protect the cowherds from someone harassing their cows. And he went to a place where his weapons were, and where his weapons were happened to be the place where Draupadi and Yudhishthira were. And he went right into the room against the instruction of Kunti to get the weapons and chased away the rascals. And when he brought the weapons back, he said, I violated the word of our mother. And Yudhishthira said, no problem, you did the right thing. You're protecting the cows. Very good. Yes, but I violated the instruction of mother, so I need to atone for that offense. Really? Okay, I'm going to go on pilgrimage to the holy places for a whole year. So that's what he did. He had a great time too. And one of the things that happened was he got married to Subhadra towards the end. Because he heard from, guess who he heard from? Starts with an N. Of course. Woo woo, Subhadra, woo woo. Matchmaker Narada Muni, right? So Arjuna he heard also what Balaram's plan was, and so he got this instruction from Krishna without the detail. Come into if you just see her, you'll fall in love, no problem. But you can't just come in. You come in as a sannyasi. So he came in as a sannyasi. And Balaram, being very, dharmic, invited the sannyasi to his place to have lunch. And there was Subhadra. And she saw this powerful sannyasi, and Balaram saw her, and it was love at first sight. And so Krishna asked Subhadra, how did it go? Woo, woo, woo. So then Krishna got confirmation that she was attracted to him as Arjuna was attracted to her. So a plan was made. Several times they met, and the relationship grew stronger. No way I'm going to marry Duryodhana. Forget it, man. So there's a special festival where the goddess Lakshmi is taken on a procession from her temple to a place outside, something like Rath Yatra. And that's the one occasion when Subhadra would leave Balaram's palace under his protection. And that was it. So Arjuna came and scooped her up and took her away. Balaram was furious. We've been insulted. That was Arjuna. Get your armory, get your arms, get your suit up, get your armies, and just go get him. This is in the public assembly, the assembly hall. And everyone was, yeah, they're getting their armor ready, and Krishna was quiet. So this is the elder brother turned to his younger brother. You're being quiet. We can't do anything without your sanction. He's the younger brother, older brother to younger brother. But he defers to his younger brother because of his relationship of friendship and servitorship and parental affection. Parents don't just get out of the way, I'm doing what I want to do. That's not a good parent. So he asked, and Krishna gave 16 fantastic reasons why this is a really good thing. Rather than chase him down and, put him in jail, chase him down and bring him back, let's have a big wedding. Balaram agreed. Just like that, because that's the relationship, although he's the elder brother. Now, there are other times, for Leela purposes, when this is the painting of Balaram and the other cowherd boys complained to Mother Yashoda that Krishna had eaten dirt. And Krishna said, I didn't eat dirt, they're liars. And Mother Yashoda said, Balaram isn't going to lie. He's your best friend. Why is he going to lie about whether you... So, you know what happened. But he assists Krishna's pastimes under the influence of Krishna's Yogamaya potency. And he did it many times. So back to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this relationship of the elder Sakya Rasa, in which Krishna and the devotee partake in the sweetness of one type of love, nourishes astonishing bliss in the heart. So for both, it's special. In Priti Rasa, which Rupa Goswami uses interchangeably sometimes with Dasya Rasa, so service with love, and Vatsalya Rasa, Krishna's and the devotees' love are different types. For this reason, those devotees devoted to Sakya Rasa understand that this Sakya rasa is the best among all rasas. You can't convince them to do something else because they don't want something else. And he quotes, Rupa Goswami quotes this verse that Prabhupada quoted so many times. Ram ya ka chit upasana vrajavadhu vargena ya kalpita. There is no conception of worship better than that was conceived by the damsels of Vraja. So the cowherd boys aren't thinking the gopis have a better rasa, let's change. They're quite content. And amongst the friends, sakhas of Krishna, the friends in Vraja suffer, like the gopis, from not seeing Krishna even for a moment. They play with him at all times, and their very life depends on Krishna. For this reason, they are considered chief amongst all the friends, Krishna's Vraja friends. Jiva Goswami comments on this. Krishna awards the cowherd boys his association, being controlled by his own prema for them. So the gopis, Radha and the gopis control Krishna, the cowherd boys control Krishna also, because of their prema. He further comments from Canto 10, Chapter 11, when Balaram and the other boys saw that Krishna had been devoured by the gigantic duck, Bakasura, right? They became almost unconscious, like senses without life. So here's the Bakasura painting, and some of them fell on the ground unconscious when he's in the beak of Bakasura, or another painting, BBT painting. They couldn't take it. Krishna's in the mouth of this big Bakasura. And look at Balaram. Now he's also, on the one hand, he knows Krishna is all-powerful. On the other hand, sometimes he forgets that Krishna is all-powerful, and he also becomes concerned. A very nice pastime with the elder brother Balaram is this pastime. You're all familiar with this pastime. The Aghasura demon, Brahma sees from the sky the Krishna killing the Aghasura demon. The boys sit down to have lunch. Brahma is contemplating, what's the limit of the power of this little boy? So he developed that little plan. He'd steal the calves and then the cowherd boys and see if Krishna is going to cry. So he did both. And when he came back to see is Krishna going to cry, he didn't see Krishna crying. He saw the cowherd boys and the calves. You know the pastime. So he went back to the cave, and there they were in the cave, and then went back and didn't just see the calves and cowherd boys, he saw the Narayan forms. Now, this particular day, there's detail. It wasn't Balaram's birthday. It was a particular festival on the nakshatra, or the asterism, dealing with the appearance star of Balaram's. He was home for a festival. He missed the pastime. So that when Krishna manifested the calves and cowherd boys for a whole year, almost for a whole year, he didn't know the difference. Omniscient Balaram didn't know the difference. Commentary says that was Krishna's arrangement. That's Yogamaya covered Balaram for nearly a whole year, and then Yogamaya curtain pulled back and he put two and two together and figured it out. Wait a minute. So this is a painting when the cows see the calves and they come galloping down the hill of Govardhan. Have you ever seen cows run? You've seen a cow run, Ragamika? It's really funny. They don't run like horses. It's funny. Anyway, they were running down the hill, the cowherd men running down after them. Stop, stop. And they wouldn't stop because they wanted to be with their calves, who were Krishna. And when they got to the bottom, they forgot the business of the cows and they just embraced their sons because they were with their sons, who were Krishna. So Balaram put two and two together and figured it out. These aren't just calves and cowherd boys. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Similarly, with reference from Skanda Purana, Mathura Kanda, Narada says to Yudhisthira, Krishna, along with Balaram, surrounded by the boys of Vraja, plays eternally in Vraja with cows and calves. Eternally means after Krishna departs, the eternal associates of Krishna enter into the uppercut pastimes in the uppercut Vrindavan. Same thing happens in Dwarka. When the whole Yadu dynasty members are annihilated, the eternal associates, there are different divisions of Krishna's associates in Dwarka, but the eternal associates enter into the uppercut Dwarka, and eternally they're engaging in Leela. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Similarly, today is my birth tithi, therefore my affectionate mother has kept me at home in order to bathe me. Subal, tell Krishna that I said he should by no means go to the Kaliya lake today. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, of course Krishna went. This is not the yearly birthday, but it's a monthly date when the moon enters his birth constellation. Same as what happened in this other Leela with Aghasura, which would be a big celebration. Krishna would not go out. It should be understood that the message could not be delivered quickly by Subal, who delayed going. Otherwise, as on previous days, Krishna would not have disobeyed Balaram's instructions on this day and gone to the Kaliya lake. So Krishna went to the Kaliya lake. And when Krishna went to the Kaliya lake, Balaram wasn't there. And when there was this big panic, a messenger went back to Nandagram to inform Nanda and Yashoda, and they panicked. And Balaram was just laughing. Krishna's having fun. No problem. Whoops. Lord Krishna to Balaram. This land of Vrindavan is glorified today. You know this pastime, chapter 15. It's a very beautiful section of the Bhagavatam. They're together in the forest, and Krishna is pointing out to the scenes in Vrindavan. All the trees and all the birds and all the everything, they're glorifying Balaram. This land, Vrindavan, is glorified today. Your lotus feet have touched the earth and grass. Your fingers have touched the trees and creepers, and your merciful eyes have glanced upon rivers, hills, birds, and beasts. The gopis have been embraced by your arms, and even the goddess of fortune desires this. Now all of these are glorified. Now, Balaram is intimately associated with Krishna, but one time he regularly knows when to be scarce. And that's when Krishna has Rasa Leela with his gopis. He just like 23 skidoo, disappears. And one of those places is this one. Those of you who have liked Govardhan, many of us here in the room like Govardhan like anything. This is the place from which Balaram was observing Krishna's rasa dance in the southern section of Govardhan Hill. And he was so enamored that his crown fell off. Here's the rasa dance. Now here's a photograph of the place. This wasn't taken by an ISKCON devotee because we don't walk on Govardhan Hill. But somebody walked on Govardhan Hill and took the picture. So this is the place. And inside the place, there's the Mukut-shila. Now there's another place at the bottom of the hill that shows the Mukut-shila. But here's the garland around the shila, and here's what the shila looks like without all the garland. No, excuse me, this is the one at the bottom of the hill with flowers, etc. And closer look. And a closer look. These from Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj. He likes photography. He's very happy to share. So this is Balaram's Mukut Shila as he's watching the rasa dance of Krishna from on top of Govardhan Hill. Raghunath Das Goswami glorifies this way Balaram. When the Yamuna River would not come according to his order, angry Lord Balaram began to drag it toward the ocean. Now the ocean of the river Jamuna is a long distance from the ocean, but Balaram's got a very powerful plow. With the edge of his plow, I devotedly offer my respects to the wonderful Ramghat, where even today all men see the marks where Balaram began to drag the Jamuna. It's a celebrated pastime. We'll be hearing more about this pastime. We're one class because it's a nice pastime. And there's many nice photographs. Balaram with his plow dragging the Jamuna River. We'll have a whole class dedicated to this pastime. Now this is in chapter 15 where Balaram kills Dhenukasura while his friends watch, because you know the pastime. Here's the pastime. Cowherd boys said to Krishna, "Oh, Krishna, oh, Balaram, there's very fragrant fruits, and we're told they're very tasty, not just fragrant, but there's this demon that guards, and anybody that goes there, he kills them and he eats them. So nobody will go there. Please take care of this guy, Dhenuka." So Balaram is to take care of Dhenuka. We'll hear this a whole evening on the Dhenukasura story. So I'm not going to do it all tonight. But Balaram deals with it, you see. Dhenukasura comes and tries to kick him in the chest. No problem. He grabs his hind legs, twirls him around, and tosses him in the top of a tree. And when he twirls him around and tosses him in the top of the tree, all of Dhenuka's buddies, they come, and Krishna gets into the act. But Dhenuka will hear, why was it? Stay in suspense. We'll hear the answer. Why was it that all the demons that were killed, Balaram killed Dhenukasura and Pralambasura? What's special about those two guys? Stay tuned. Keep asking that question. And there you see some of the demons are on the tops of trees, turning around the corner, around more trees, come more of the demons, more of the ass demons, and they deal with them. We'll touch on this again. We're closing in towards the end. Dhenukasura, this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, represents those who are grossly foolish, like hardworking beasts of burden, or donkeys. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor by themselves, and so do not want to part with them for the Supreme, nor do they want other people to enjoy. That's Dhenukasura. Gross materialistic intelligence. This is a BBT illustration. Actually, it's a BTG illustration. Ignorance of spiritual knowledge. From Bhagavad Gita, Namam Duskritana Mudha. Those miscreants, mudhas, who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender to me. I'm going quickly because of time, because you all know the verse. I would ask one of our teenagers to recite the verse, but we don't need to take our time to recite the verse. Do you know the verse? Yeah. Say, without looking. Papadyante. Very good. Fantastic. Fantastic. Pralambasura, we know the Pralambasura story. We're going to do it again, so I'm not going to go through it too much, because the way that Prabhupada describes it is the boys played the game of carriers and passengers. That is, they would wrestle, and the victorious one would have to be carried on the shoulders of the one who wasn't the victorious one. They were in pairs. So passengers and the carriers of the passengers. And as you know the story, there on the left side, there's Pralambasura carrying Balaram. And on the right side, Krishna loses to Sridham. Remember Kirti Dev? Shesha? Kirti Dev used to say all the time, like it's one of his favorite sayings, "What kind of a big man are you?" I can remember he would say it so many times. Kirti Dev. Sridham would say, "Oh, what kind of a big man are you? You always lose." Because Krishna's enjoying pastimes. So he doesn't, it's not that he doesn't mind losing, it's just a pastime. And he gets to carry Sridham on his shoulders. He's enjoying with his cowherd boyfriends. And there they are. And as Pralambasura goes off into the forest, Balaram starts to feel, wow, this is a nice ride. But Pralambasura starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And Balaram puts two and two together and realizes this isn't just cowherd boy. And with one blow of his fist, finishes Pralambasura. And Pralambasura falls dead to the ground. This is a BBT painting, another BBT painting. We're almost done. Pralambasura represents lusty inclinations, desire for personal gain and honor. Different illustrations to indicate the same. We'll do this again in greater detail on this is the introduction, evening. Okay. 6 classes on one topic. Try it. Pralambasura represents, this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, represents lusty inclination, desire for personal gain and honor. So, there we go. Krishna Balaram. And all of this, what will we know anything without our founder Acharya? We're forever, forever, forever indebted to our founder Acharya giving us the spiritual strength, because he's the representative of Balaram, right? The Guru Tattva principle is giving the spiritual strength needed to carry out our devotional service. The source is Balaram, but the distributor of that source of Balaram's strength is the spiritual master. And for all of us, not only his disciples, but grand disciples and future generations. So let's see if there's some discussion. I went a little fast. We'll go a little slower as we go through these other pastimes of Balaram. But I spent a fair amount of time on the Balarama-tattva. It's a lot of interesting points and understandings about him. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. A question. I remembered Pani Maharaj, of course, demons in Vrindavan Leela. And if I remember right, he said the demons that are killed by Balaram, whatever bad qualities they represent, we have to do a certain amount of work ourselves.
Yes.
That the ones that Krishna kills, just by hearing the pastimes, those things are purified from our hearts.
Yes. I can't remember. I have a bad memory. I remember that, but the bad memory part is, I believe there's a document that's supposed to be distributed, circulated, that says in detail what you just said. It's like it's similar to what you just said, but just expanding it a little bit. The instructions of the spiritual master lift the disciple, and the disciple has to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. That's the effort that we need to make, because the tattva that the guru represents is Balaram-tattva, or an aspect of Balaram, at least. And Krishna just delivers. But those that have this feature that Balaram is specifically delivering, it's like the instructions of the spiritual master that require some effort on our part. That's the kind of secret or the detail. There's other details. Do you know where I was this past weekend? One of your favorite places, Gitanagari. Yeah. I was thinking of you when I was there. I stayed in Bhuprit's home.
Right, I visited just before Damayanti. We didn't know we didn't get to see it.
They're doing well. They're doing very well. I'll send them a note to say that I saw you. We were reminiscing about them. Okay. Anything else? I've learned to be very patient. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you. Recalling also, I think maybe I saw it in Ananda Vrindavan Champu, that when Balaram is being carried away by Pralambasura and the demon is changing his form, he cries out to Krishna, Krishna, he's changing as a demon, please come and save me. And Krishna says, you can do it yourself, just strike him down. Why are you asking for my help?
Gopal Champu, huh?
Yeah. No, Ananda Vrindavan.
Ananda Vrindavan Champu. I'll look it up. I don't remember because my memory is poor. It may be in the presentation on that topic. If not, I'll put it in. Compliments of Ramia.
So I had a question. So Arjuna goes on pilgrimage because he's broken the rules of ethics. How could he then dress as a sannyasi?
Krishna told him.
He wouldn't do it otherwise.
Oh, no way.
What?
He'll do whatever. I mean, he had some hesitation on the battlefield, but whatever Krishna says, he's ready. Krishna vachanam tava.
And when Balaram is there, coward boys, Yoga Maya was covering Balaram up to that point when Balaram returned. But did Yoga Maya, was she removed the covering because Krishna wanted it, or because Balaram wanted it? Krishna.
With the covering and the removal was Krishna.
So Balaram can also deal with Yoga Maya, or only Krishna?
You know, he consults Krishna.
Okay.
I mean, that's the relationship. It's Krishna's Yogamaya.
Yeah, it was the same when Bhima was fighting with Duryodhana. And Balaram was very upset that Bhima did hit him below the waist.
Yeah.
And Krishna said it was okay. So
It was
then
okay.
He took off on pilgrimage. That I'm not waiting around anymore. Does that mean he was a little upset, or he just?
Yeah. Yeah, he was upset.
Is there some further explanation how it is that Balaram has such a close relationship with Duryodhana?
With Duryodhana.
Yeah.
I've been pursuing that, and I haven't gotten a good answer. I asked 8 people, scholarly people. So far, I've got no answer. The one that I'm going, hopefully will get an answer from is Krishna Dharma. Because it's in Mahabharata, not just in the other places. It's especially in Mahabharata. Then what were the circumstances? I was surprised. In my dialogue with these scholarly devotees, my comment is it's a big surprise that there isn't more described about it. The only part that's described is that apparently it's when the Pandavas were in exile, and this is when Balaram went to take association of the king of Videha. No, Mithila. And the description is, but this is Balaram, not Duryodhana. Balaram learned from Samba. This is the detail, because this is like, I've been immersed up to my eyeballs in trying to sort out some of these details. Samba, because Balaram had great affection for Samba also. He taught Samba how to fight with a club. He taught Balaram how to fight, Bhima how to fight with a club. Duryodhana how to fight with a club. He had affection for students. The students had affection for him. But it appears, I haven't found confirmation, but it appears that Duryodhana wasn't really the guru disciple, it was expediency. He didn't really have affection for Balaram because this is reasoning, because Duryodhana had such animosity for the Pandavas and for Krishna. So how could he have affection for Balaram at the same time hold on, animosity to his cousin brothers that were dear to Krishna and Krishna? So it's expediency. But Balaram had affection for him because he was his student. That's the closest I could get to the answer.
And then Duryodhana actually went back to Vaikuntha.
That's an interesting question. I don't know if it implies that he went back to Vaikuntha because Balaram had affection for him. One who has such inimical regard for Krishna. Sheshupal is different. We'll get into detail. The description of Sheshupal, his mind was fixed on Krishna. In a negative way, but his mind was fixed on Krishna. So when he died, he went to Krishna. He achieved that kind of liberation. Not Sayuja Mukti, but liberation. Initially, he entered into the body of Krishna and then ended up not just in the body of Krishna, but back in the position of Jai and Vijay. in Vaikuntha. But Duryodhana wasn't fixed like that. Just a proud, arrogant murderer. A dharmic murderer. Here we go.
Thank you, Maharaj. I just wanted to comment that not only was Duryodhana he wasn't fixed on Krishna like Kamsa or the other demons. He was fixed on actually on
The crown.
on the crown, but also on negatively perceiving the Pandavas who are devotees of Krishna. And Krishna says that if you don't, if you don't serve my devotees and love my devotees, then you don't really love me.
That's right.
So
Yes.
he's actually in a much more
And he's an asura.
precarious position.
He's in an asura to the max. He's in a bad space. That guy.
I think Nanda Devi from here, Mother Nanda from
Mother
here.
Nanda.
Yes. I think she tells a story about Duryodhan and Balaram in their previous life. And so the mystery might be there about Duryodhan being actually a very great devotee of Lord Balaram, and in separation, he couldn't take the separation, Balaram coming, and so he was invited to come as a demon or whatever, So I think she'd be a good person to ask.
Okay. I'll follow the thread.
Okay. And another thing about Balaram's relationship with Duryodhan, I found that very comforting when, I don't know who it was in one of the Bhagavatam classes here in Alachua, was that Balaram, as we know, like Lord Nityananda, he's very kind.
Yeah.
They're the same person.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we think ourselves more as Arjun side, but here we may be more ourselves in Duryodhana's shoes more. At least for myself, I can say. So Balaram is very kind to Duryodhana. Is a very comforting. Yeah, that okay, we are however we are, but we'll get mercy of Balaram. So that's one angle of Balaram. Because I remember getting very upset about why does Balaram want Subhadra to marry Duryodhana? That's like really upsetting.
Yeah, that's upsetting. Except everybody. Everybody. Nobody wanted it. She didn't want it. Krishna didn't want it. He wanted it.
Yeah.
He was like, come on, Balaram.
Yeah, like, what's wrong with Balaram? Yeah. But then to see with a different angle that how Balaram is so kind to the fallen.
So kind.
And so then that just brings a whole different feeling in that relationship. And yeah.
He's a little different than Nityananda, though. He's merciful, but not like Nityananda. Nityananda is anybody is okay. Somebody that's inimical to Krishna. Yeah. How can Balaram be like Nityananda towards Duryodhana? It's a puzzle. But this previous Nanda, you have an answer? Is she
Nanda
here?
is not here. No.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
not here.
Way in the back, there's somebody with their hand up. And I think we're going to end after this. If that's okay. You got to fix the microphone problem, whatever that is.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. One thing I recently heard about Duryodhana and Balaram is that Balaram, since he was teaching them how to fight with the club, and Duryodhana they were both skillful, Duryodhana and Bhima, but Duryodhana was very, very, he had a very fine way of fighting so he was very polished, as opposed to Bhima, who was like, all over the place. So that's why Balaram had more affection, and because he was a very skilled, very, very artistic way of fighting with the
So
club.
you're saying Balaram was artistic and Duryodhana wasn't?
No, not Balaram. Duryodhan was more artistic than Bhima.
Bhima.
So that's why Balaram had more affection for him as a student. Recently,
You heard recently.
yes.
What Purana is that from?
Kali Yuga memory, don't remember what.
Okay. Okay. We'll end with that. Thank you all for coming. It's got a nice living room here for so many people to come. And I brought with me some Mahaprashadam from Raja Shama Sundara in the central New Jersey temple. So I'm going to walk around and hand out Mahaprashadam, and there's an extra box when this one runs out. So don't worry. Don't worry. There's more. Srila Prabhupada Ki.